Hello guys, every good name is taken here and welcome to another video. And today we got another pleb request which was done from David, and he wants us, or me, to review the WZ-112-2. So why don't we go ahead and just straight up do that. The tank we're going to be comparing this one to is to the Tech Tree Chinese T8 heavy tank, the WZ-111, the 110, sorry. So let's start as usual with the gun. We got 2000 DPM on the WZ-112-2. Let's just call it 112-2. And the 110 has 2200, so in immediate advantage there. Penetration wise, you are exactly the same. You have 215 on your APCR, 270 on your heat, and 61 on your HE. Which is compared to the 110, 215, 265 and 50, which comes from AP, and APCR the same for these tanks. The heat has more pen than the APCR of the 110. Nice ammo rack there, by the way, because of well, it's heat and it has a higher caliber, so the HE has more pen. The alpha damage is pretty normal for a 122mm. You got 400, 340 and 500. You got a 122mm, as the name is already suggesting, so you got quite the Russian gun basically. Your shell velocity is 900, which is considerably low if you think about this thing having APCR standard, and is less than the AP of the 110, so that's maybe something to consider. Going even further, the gun handling on this tank is not looking too good either. You got 2.8 seconds aim time, and 3.8 or 9 or 0.39 accuracy, whilst the 110 has 2.1 aim time and 3.34 accuracy, so it's not looking too good for the Chinese ones. In terms of gun depression, you got 6 degrees on both tanks, this thing though having 3 degrees more gun elevation. In terms of speed, the 112 is quicker than the 110 by 2 kilometers more top speed, having 42 and 20 back, which is also quicker than the 15 backwards. You got the exact same engine but a better horsepower per ton, as you weigh less than the 110, which is surprising even though this thing has a higher caliber. Your terrain resistance are worse and better depending on what side you look on. The effective horsepower per ton is also not too great for the 110, so this thing is shining. And of course, both tanks have, after the hit point buff, 1800 hit points base. You could of course also be using extra hit points, then you have 1908. Both tanks have interesting armor layouts, the 110 having a pike nose while this thing doesn't. So that's already the biggest difference that I see for those tanks, other than of course the statistical difference that they have. And yeah, let's just have a look at the post-game stats here from David. It was his birthday with 5k damage at first class, not quite knocking the 8 A's here, running with a quite low base experience of 1200. A bit too passive for more base experience, but other than that, a really nice game. And let's have a look at the armor. So this one is really strong in terms of armor. You got a 195 frontal turret, with not really much to speak of in terms of cheeks. Maybe if you shoot it here, you could bounce onto this. The side is really well angled. You have these cupolas from the side that you can pen, of course, and then the back and the side. These could be seen as heat protection, but I think they are part of the armor, actually. No, it's the attachment. So they don't count as heat protection, so you can just fire straight through them. You have a really strong hole of 140 in a really good angle, so you can rarely ever pen this, other you then being in a high tier or tank destroyer, I think. The lower plate is also really well angled, as you can see. It's quite sharp. You don't have a pike nose, as even though this is basically a Russian IS remodel. So the frontal armor is probably the strongest, but if you can see here already, it starts to become Russian with this over the armor hanging, over the tracks hanging armor. You got yours, how you call it again? Ah, god damn it, what was it? You know, spaced armor, so don't shoot here unless you have high pen. Shoot more here and you shouldn't have a problem, so it's typical Russian side troll armor. For the back it goes the same, don't shoot these parts but shoot the butt. Doesn't have a lot of armor there, only having 60 in the hull and 100 in the turret. And yeah, I'm running this tank with the pretty standard layout here. Nothing too surprising. And I'm going with extra armor here just to make that front a little bit stronger, and as well as the side. Other than that, this is all pretty goddamn standard, and let's just jump straight into a live gameplay to see how we can use this tank effectively. Now, one thing I will say straight up, this thing is considered overpowered. I do not really agree with that. It is a very strong tank, but I don't think it really breaks the realm of overpowered just quite, because the gun has quite a bit of drawbacks. Other than that, the armor is really strong, so you want to face hug with this tank if possible. 6 degrees of gun depression is not a whole lot, so you want to try to contest ridge lines too much. As you can see, 6 degrees sounds like quite a bit, but it isn't all that much. And let's, I don't know, play the city side here. Not a lot of people seem to be here just yet. I'd like to contest this spot, but not quite sure how the enemy position will fan out. Let's just go on top of the bridge first and see if we can get some cross shots into these mediums over there, those 44s. Able to hit our first shot. The Yak Tiger's already looking here, so we gotta be careful. He has a very strong gun, so he should have no trouble penning us all too much. Putting our second shot in to that ST1. Awful here, taking his first lightweight, has flanked around, and it's looking pretty good so far in terms of the score. We can't quite see that Yak Tiger as the tank is quite flat in terms of height. You're not gonna be able to see much. Yak Tiger's turned around, so let's use that to our advantage. Got a hit into our ammo rack here, so let's fix that really quickly. Gotta be aware that those tank destroyers are there supporting them here in the ridgeline. Let's see if we can get that CDC out first. He has the DPM, the SDI can't run either, as he is too slow. And we're gonna be not forgetting that 5100 down there. It was a poor shot from me. Could have just shot heat instead. And the Yak Tiger is gonna have some trouble with our gun mentality, as expected. One straight into his upper plate with heat shouldn't be a problem. As you can see, the APCR pen with 215 is not the greatest, so you are gonna struggle. 268 is quite the low roll. Might actually even be a minimum roll, but we can't say that for sure. Let's load HE and do 0 damage towards the Yak Tiger. Quite surprising there. Not sure if we can maybe get a ram kill here. Don't. Let's back up and just kill him straight with heat. And it's just a T95 left. Worked out quite nicely this game. We were able to use our tank efficiently. That's a weak spot, by the way, for the T95. And yeah, worked out quite nicely. We didn't get all too high of a result, but it was pretty decent in and of itself, and I guess it showed the tank to its most part. We weren't able to use our armor all too much, but we were able to bounce a couple of shots. And to remind you again, this tank I would not call overpowered. It is a strong tank, but the gun is holding it just back too much to really be called OP. And so yeah, this has been it from me for this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you all again next time. Bye bye.